Yo, welcome to the Valentine's Day edition of the Guinto Bros podcast. My name is Card Guinto, and usually Kendall Guinto is with me, but we're so drunk right now. Our regular special guest right here, Jericho Belmonte, is with me.
Hey, that's me, yo.
What's up?
What's up, guys?
Well, let's be honest. We recorded this earlier today, but it got deleted. So we're gonna reiterate whatever the fuck we said. So Jericho, Valentine's Day, what did you do?
Oh, I did nothing. I kind of just I worked and went to the gym. So you're pretty much your regular bro Valentine's Day single.
Right. Yo, same with me. I had an exam that day, so I basically did nothing. What was your past experiences with Valentine's Day?
Usually when I'm with a person, I usually focus on grand gestures. I think Valentine's Day is such a good way to kind of express your love for someone and make them feel special.
Right. Because, like, for me, it's, a lot of people see Valentine's Day as, like, some commercial thing, some Hallmark thing, like, hey, it's just made up, it's not really a real holiday, but, it's kind of that day that, hey, let's advocate for celebrating our relationship, let's celebrate our love, let's celebrate how we feel with each other, like, no matter what, like, even if it's, like, some trendy thing to do, I mean, you're doing something nice for somebody else. I mean, you might not see if it's genuine or not, but they're still investing something into this relationship,
Yeah, like
right?
someone else, yeah.
Right.
Well, what I said before this podcast got deleted, I think Valentine's Day is such a good thing for people because it gives you kind of like a cheat sheet to show how much you care for somebody when nowadays it's so hard to express your feelings for that certain somebody. So I think Valentine's Day is such a good thing because it gives you kind of like a cheat sheet to how to show affection when
Right.
affection is not something that's like shown genuinely nowadays because of relationships and how trends are nowadays with this hookup culture and stuff.
Right.
So I think it's such a good thing for us to have a day pre-made and kind of easy to follow for regular people that don't know how to express their feelings.
Right. It gives people the chance to, like, express themselves because, like, everybody else is. It's more like, hey, it's okay to do things for other people. Like, I believe, like, you should be doing good gestures for people every day, but sometimes there's no time for that, right? Sometimes people don't feel like doing that every single time because it's a lot of effort, right? But Valentine's Day is good. Like, even as a single person, not having someone to do that for, it would be nice to put that effort into somebody, showing them how special or significant they are in their lives. But, sometimes, not sometimes, but, like, for me, all the time, I don't have that. Like, I've never had a Valentine's Day partner or person, so, I mean, I would love to, but, it's just not in the cards for me.
Cards.
Guinto cards right now, so, there you go.
Yeah, so you want to transition to the next topic?
So, what do you think the relationship or dating scene for 2018 and how social media has affected that?
Like I said, social media is kind of like it's almost like a trap because the way it is nowadays is all about being savage, showing how much you don't care about people,
Right.
and then with Snapchat the way it is, like everything gets deleted unless you save it. It's very, very easy to fall for something not genuine because it's easier to send a picture or send a
Right.
message that doesn't get saved. More often than not, right? Social media drives us to. It's almost like a permanent, like a not like a something that doesn't exist for a long time. If it doesn't exist, then maybe it means like it's not permanent. So it's almost like a temporary culture kind of thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, like I feel like social media it gives people chance to meet a lot of people, but also gives people to like show out and show like not their genuine self. Like a lot of sometimes you do,
Yeah,
but
what social media does is pretty much you can show the best of yourself.
right.
It's just not always a good representation of a person, right?
Yeah.
Because you always show like it's the best foot forward kind of mentality all the time. So you don't really see the real shit, like the person that struggles to be this kind of person online is not really a good representation of themselves in real life.
Like
But
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, but when you have social media, you can filter through what you want to post, what you want to put out to the world. So it's almost like it's not fake, but it's almost like the best version of yourself, which makes it unauthentic, I think.
Right, like filter culture is like when you're posting photos like you put on a screen that covers a lot of like your faults or whatever. It's not even with just photos, it's with captions too. You're not gonna say a lot of
The real shit.
things on social media that you would say in real life, so it gives like a barrier to make it okay to say these kinds of things because a lot of people or most people think that it's okay to say things not directly.
But I think it's all about protecting yourself and having that barrier to for no one to get in. Because if you reveal like what you actually think or what you actually feel, it makes you vulnerable for that shit. You know,
Right.
it makes you vulnerable for judgment, makes you vulnerable for weakness, and a lot of people don't want to show weakness nowadays because they weakness for kindness, right? Kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a distance there where you can't where it's like it's okay to flex or show off on social media, but then when it comes to real life or when it comes to the period when you interact, it's like definitely not the same thing. But there are also a lot of people that do show themselves in both mediums. I
Yeah, like
feel because like
being real when you're like, say you're trying to capture a certain audience,
right,
that you're trying to be real. This is a real me, but at the same time, it's almost like it's almost becomes like a filtered version of
right,
you because honestly, most people try to say they're honest in social media, but no, that's not nowhere near who you are as a person. But it's not for them to be blamed for that.
yeah,
It's just a form of protection. Like, why would I be so vulnerable with these people? You almost kind of like give them like a taste of who you really are. And if
yeah.
they really want to know, they'll slide in your DM or like I don't know. They'll get in contact with you in some form because a lot of people will not put that effort in because of the weakness factor. Like as people, we don't want to seem weak. We don't want to seem thirsty. We don't want to seem like we need attention, even though if we want it or not.
And I think it's evident in like you know how in Snapchat you send people directly and you send stuff in your story.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people get offended that you send the same thing in both things. Like what's the difference? Like I can
At that point, I think it's more like exclusivity. Like if you send something for your story and you send me the same thing, I, as a person, don't feel as special.
yeah. Like why do you feel that way? Like
It's just because it's content you want to release out to the world. If I'm if I'm getting content that's special towards me, I will feel more special because of that. Now, but if content's available for everybody else, I think people will just feel it's just the same thing. It would be the same thing if I saw this in his story or her story. So it's kind of devalues the information that you're sending.
right. Like I guess people want to feel that kind of way. They want to feel special. They want to feel like, hey, this is genuine. This is just for me. But like, why does it have to be that way? Couldn't just like, hey, this is out there, and I mean,
I guess if you sent it through story and the personal, it's something that you would want the person to see, or would instead of giving the person a chance to see.
well, like for me, it's like, hey, you get this firsthand, but then like other people would have to like take time to go to their story. Because you get an alert right away when you send something directly. I mean,
Like personally, I don't mind that shit,
yeah, I don't mind that
but
either. But apparently, it's so wrong that I mean, it's a big issue. I don't know. Like for
again, it goes back to the idea that if I'm the only one that sees this, it means that you care more.
right,
But like I said, it's a very, 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 very hard for people to convey a message to the person they care about. And that's because of social media. That's because of our society that we live in. It's too much for a person to handle. So they filter it the way they think that they should filter it.
right. So, do you feel like a lot of it is genuine, or do you have to take it step by step and like get to
Yeah,
that
well, in my opinion,
genuine point?
in my opinion, being genuine is very, very. It's fickle. The idea of being genuine is being true,
Right,
but being true nowadays is seen as a weakness. So now I'm gonna filter everything that you see. So I get it when people don't want to show that and don't want to be filtered and want to be protected through a screen or through a filter or through a certain like a shell, almost like something that hides their real self because they don't want to be weak and they don't want that certain image of them be projected and then in the social media or whatever, Snapchat, Instagram or Twitter, whatever you want to do. I just think that people want to be protected, and if they don't feel that they're protected, they will not send that message or that image or whatever they want to post.
right.
I think that way. I think at the end of the day, if you don't feel protected, you will not send that message. You will not send that snap because it's just the way. You don't want to be judged harshly, so you won't. You will protect yourself first, and we can't hate on that.
So do you like? I feel with my question that a lot of people are insecure and they need this validation from others on social media to be like, hey, yeah,
Oh,
this is
100%.
all good. Like, whatever you're sending out there is cool. And, like, I accept whatever it is with the likes, with the retweets, or whatever.
Yeah, but at the end of all days, you can tackle a situation. It's not simple. It's more complicated than saying if I post something or if I tweet something, it's the real me, because then there's so much filters and whatever has to go in that certain post. Like, it's well thought out. It's not just like, if this is the way I feel. It's a rarity to see somebody posting as soon as they type, because a lot of it becomes edited or filtered or diluted between what they really feel and what they want to put out to the world.
All right. How do you feel about, like, the timing of people's replies or texting back, or, like, is... Like, for me, it's like, hey, people text back right away, or they don't, and a lot of people feel some type of way that the amount of time people take to reply back is a game, or showing that
Like
whether
I said,
they're interested or not interested.
With the reply game, I think it is definitely a game.
Yeah.
And we are so... I don't want to say poison because it's kind of like negative connotations or whatever. But the text game, Snapchat game, whatever, Twitter, whatever you want to do. It's so diluted because, again, we're coming back to a place that we have to protect ourselves.
Right.
Because if we don't, then we'll seem weak, we'll seem thirsty, and in most people's minds, that will be like a negative thing.
Right.
So they will play the game and they will follow a certain strategic pattern, so you won't seem that way. So, but then it all comes back to what our end goal is.
Right.
If you want to create a relationship that's real, wouldn't you want to reply back right away?
Right. So to transition into that, like, how do you feel about casual sex, friends with benefits, and no strings attached rules and regulations? Like, for me, when establishing a friends with benefits or no strings attached relationship, I think you should establish that we're just having sex. We're just being in this situation where it's not serious, we're not together, but we can still do that act, and there's nothing more to that. I mean, in most cases, some people feel type of way where they could
create something off of sex.
But then obviously sex comes with like feelings and attachment, but how do you feel that people should act that way and follow what they initially established? Because a lot of people do fall for some other people, and they get too attached that it's like they want more, but it's just that it's not gonna happen, and they stay like driven to be with that person, even though it's established that it ain't gonna happen like that.
Okay, so if you unpacked what you're trying to talk about, it's always going to be about definition,
right?
And it's always going to be about communication between two parties, right?
Yeah.
So if say I only wanted to have sex, fuck, whatever,
right,
with a certain person, I think that person should understand what we both want out of this. The thing is, with sex, it's such an intimate action or whatever. It kind of becomes where someone always falls for someone first.
Because it's hard not to, because it's such an intimate thing, and there's a lot of insecurities, there's a lot of vulnerability that comes with that. And it's like, if you're feeling that kind of vulnerability with somebody else, it's easy to be attached. So you feel some type of ways like, hey, we share this moment together. Like, why not? Share that all the time. But I mean, of course, people don't want to like be in this serious, established relationship. They want to be more than that. They want to be boyfriend and girlfriend, whatever relationship. Like, how do you feel that getting over that, or how people should like follow what the rules are? Do you think that they should follow, or just go with the flow?
It's tough because, like I said, the humans will guard against weaknesses, any negativity. They'll guard against that. So what I think, when people establish just friends with benefits or anything like that, you have to be on the same page. And as soon as a party does not feel the same way, then the two parties have to have a conversation about what they are. Because if they don't, then it becomes convoluted. It becomes a big question mark. Like, what are we, right?
Right.
And a lot of people define with definition, and if they don't, then difficulties will start arising, and then whatever, if you guys don't agree with a certain thing, then it could possibly ruin the relationship. But if people are on the same page, hey, this is just sex, that's it.
Right.
Even though I think that's not sex is super, super intimate, and I
Right.
think it should be. But what this hookup culture is now practicing is that I can fuck somebody else, but I will not be emotionally attached to the same
Right.
person. But it's okay, like cool, if you practice that, if you relate to that, if you define your relationship as so, then both parties have to be okay with the fact that it's nothing but sex. Even if I personally think sex is something that should be shared with somebody you care about, you want to be long term. As long as you define the relationship
Yeah.
as so,
Yeah.
then you should both mutual parties should agree to that,
Yeah.
and whatever you guys think, if it's just friendship or if it could lead to something else, I think it's all about communication and stuff. If you don't communicate what your intentions are, then it gives it open for interpretation. When that's where all the problems occur. If it's unknown, then you don't know, and
Right.
if you don't know, then you can imagine it to be whatever, right?
Like when establishing a relationship like that, let's say you want to be just fuck buddies or whatever, like
Like friend web,
should
benefits.
people like I don't think that whatever relationship they have, like friends with benefits, should hang out like with the amount of time they do or hang out with or introduce people to family or friends because I feel like if you're introducing the people other people in your life, it's more than just like hooking up because it creates this illusion that hey, everybody, I'm with this person. I'm serious with this person, but in reality, between the two parties, it's really not. And I feel like a family or friends would be like, we'll see it like, hey, they're kind of serious because like, why would they hang out? Why would they introduce us to this girl that he's just hanging out with if it's not super serious? And like doing that to whatever party makes them feel type of way that it is serious, even though like they don't agree on that kind of relationship. Like I've seen this like a few times. So how do you, Jericho, feel like is that wrong to do, or should it be okay if as long as they know that hey, nothing's gonna be further than what we
Us being
establish?
friends or fuck buddies, right?
Right,
But see, this is where communication
right,
is key. If you do not communicate with me, you want to be something more. If I communicated to you that I didn't want to be anything else but a physical attachment, then you can't be. That's where I said that it's important to reevaluate a relationship when things change.
yeah,
If feelings change or your thought changes about a person, I think it's okay to introduce your friend to any family member or other friends because you already defined your relationship. If you're
right,
friends, you're friends. With the word friend, I think that it comes with a lot of acceptance of the person giving you that title.
yeah,
And if you give that title to somebody, say if I told Car I'm hanging out with a chick, I brought her to her place. I always bring her to anybody's place. I think if I said to my friends that she is just a friend, they have to believe me.
yeah,
So with that, if they believe me, no other judgment should ever come from their mouths
yeah,
or whatever to doubt what I said that she is just a friend. But it's not always like that.
yeah,
Sometimes if I told Car this chick is just a friend and I brought her to a party that's kind of intimate, why would Jericho bring that person here if she wasn't more? And that's when it comes down to the fact that I already told you that we're friends and you should believe that. And if you don't, that's your own insecurities. That's not mine. That's not hers. That's the person that's receiving the information of just friends. And you can't really blame people for that.
like
You,
for me, I see your side of it, but I see like I'm like 100% opposite of that. Like for me, if you meet my friends, you meet my family, and I think it's serious because you want them and you want yourself to show or feel that, hey, I'm with this person and I'm bringing them along to see, like, to show that I like being around this person a lot in different situations, in different contexts, in different
So,
scenarios where like I'm comfortable for her to know a lot of stuff about me that I wouldn't say from other people. Because you don't act the same way when it's with family or friends, and that's a lot of thing. That's a vulnerable state when you're with people you've grown up with for a very long time, or very different scenarios that this girl wouldn't have seen. So, like,
well,
you're okay with her knowing or seeing that, but then you're just fucking on the side. Like, how is that okay to show that to someone that you just want to have sex with? Obviously, for me, you do have more feelings. You do want to show that you care about this person, because being vulnerable like that isn't something everyone should see. Like, if it was, you would show that to everybody else because it's the same idea.
yeah.
If you didn't feel that way, then you wouldn't show it to other people,
Yeah, okay,
right?
so it comes back to the idea of you guys talking about what you are.
But some people,
It's honestly it's all about not showing weakness.
you are showing with it. You're showing someone that,
Yeah, but remember I told you that if you have a certain relationship with someone, you should unpack, talk about it, and define that relationship thoroughly. Otherwise, if why you bring her then?
yeah,
You're
but then
just
it's not
making a
just,
scenario awkward for both of you guys.
it's not just fucking. It's not just having sex. It's more than
Yeah.
that. Then obviously, right?
Yeah, so if you have an idea of a certain person and you want to be more than friends, then don't define it as a fuck buddy. Define
Yeah.
it as almost like a journey for both of you to find if you guys are
Right.
more than that.
So we're going past that. Like this type of idea. Who is that? Let's hold on for a second, and I guess we'll keep this recording, but I'm gonna answer that. Hello? Pardon? No, we didn't order. Sorry. Okay, bye-bye. Bye. It's all in. But yeah, but anyways, yeah, so we're beyond that point where it's just having sex then. It's more than that. If you want to introduce.
Yeah, but then you would already know that, or not keep it open for interpretation before you define a fuck buddy or a friends with benefits.
Yeah.
Because at that point they'd be super close to you or not super close to you, and at that point you wouldn't even have this situation because you would have already talked about it.
Yeah. Because, like, at that point, it's more than, like, you're showing feelings, right? You're giving everybody the chance to know you more than what you establish at the
Or
beginning.
what you put out online or whatever.
Yeah, because, like, for me, being a fuckbuddy or friends with benefits or whatever, you're just having sex.
It's purely
no,
physical.
purely
But
physical. But once you attach,
as soon as you cross that line
Yeah.
of a physical and you start introducing friends or family or whatever, and you introduce, even if you introduce a person a certain way,
Yeah.
it changes what people think about that person.
yeah,
So at that point, it's up to the individual to define and to limit or to filter whatever others want you to see, what you want to see, right?
yeah,
So it just becomes super, super complicated at that point. And at that point, if you didn't want anything to do with the chick, then you don't do that.
Yeah, at that point, you should really establish that, hey, this is either going to be just being fuck buddies or we're going to be in a relationship. Because at that point,
Or working towards that.
working towards it. Because, like, knowing this much about a person is, I feel, is too much for someone you just hook up with. Because at that point, you know a lot more than that. So it's not just a one night stand or a hookup person. You're basically in a relationship that's not labeled or established. You're like indecisive. You're at that stage where like, hey, we're doing more than what we thought we would. Then what are we now? And I feel that most people get caught up in that situation, and either you go towards
End
being
the
in a
relationship,
relationship or you just end it right away and you just stop. Anyways, just don't
Pause.
answer that. We didn't order any food, so
It's weird though.
so yeah, like, do you feel like these experiences happen a lot, or they should just like that's just how the relationship and dating scene is in 2018 with the social media and the amount
Well,
of
it's tough to
yeah,
say because when you think of 2018 with all the social media and the way it affects dating and how Tinder is or whatever, how anything is, you kind of assume that it's a hookup culture.
yeah,
So it's very, very, very something that's temporary versus something that's more concrete, and you introduce somebody and they become almost an entity of what you want your future to be.
yeah,
And that's super annoying. And pretty much what happens is that when you define a certain relationship a certain way, you're gonna have to stand behind that relationship.
yeah,
But now when people almost feel like something's getting too serious, they don't know what to do and they don't know how to handle it.
yeah. So I think that's I'll
Yeah, so when people feel a certain way about a relationship, it's almost like I said, what I said before. It's
we didn't order any food.
yeah. So when you guard against a feeling of weakness, you're gonna handle it with some sort of strength. So either that's denial or it's
Yeah, I think it is
doing
denial.
something that's more like oh, I hooked up with her and that's it. She might have thought a certain way, but I guess we didn't define it clear enough for her to understand or for him to understand that it's just a hookup. And I think that's the fault. A lot of relationships start nowadays with an unclear understanding of what you guys are. So when that happens, it becomes open to interpretation and unclear and something that's
Yeah.
not tangible. It's all like a mystery.
Yeah, like I feel things should be established like right away. Like if you're hooking up, just like, hey, we're just hooking up. Hey, I'm interested in you and I want to see
Where this goes, right?
where it's gonna go, where it's gonna go, then yeah, say that. And if you say like, "Hey, I want to be your boyfriend or girlfriend," say that too. So
Yeah, but
he's
honestly, a lot of people will not say that,
they will not, but they
and
should. But they get caught up in this idea where like, "Hey, we're hanging out a lot," and if we and with the time and an amount of dedication and time you're putting into this kind of whatever relationship you want to call it, then you should establish it because like you're leading someone on to this place where they don't know where they're going, and that's not right for both parties because some people want this relationship just to be like not as like not
very,
labeled
very,
and
very casual.
yeah, like I feel like there's some people who want to be exclusive like that, and some people
There's some
who
people want to be
don't.
casual, right? Just want to feel a certain relationship at a certain time, or if they're needed.
Yeah, and that just hurts. It hurts at least one party
One of the party
because
involved, right?
the other party just leading it along and just going wherever is like they don't really care about what's happening. They're just like, hey, I like having this person around, and really it doesn't matter. But then like
Until it truly matters.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like unless something pops up where it's disturbing this relationship, then that's when it's gonna happen. That's when it's like, hey, why are you doing this and that? Like we're together, but like there's no labels established there, and that's when the problems occur. And I've heard or seen a lot of these relationships happen. So I feel like right now a lot of people go through that thing is because not a lot of people do like labels, and I feel like labels should happen because you should know where you're going at, and if you don't, you're just either wasting your time or the time you're putting in is just like going nowhere. I mean, that's basically the same idea, but yeah, like I don't know. How do you feel about whatever?
Well, like what I said before, if you're gonna define a relationship a certain way, you're gonna have to stand by that definition. Otherwise, you leave it open for interpretation, and leaving something open is never a good thing.
Yeah,
With like say an open relationship or like a well-defined relationship, even long distance kind of gets iffy. But
yeah,
I think yeah, communication is the key to any relationship,
yeah,
friendship, partnership, or whatever. It doesn't matter what it is, but definition is key. Communication is also key,
yeah,
and also like and understanding one another and what you mean to that person is also key. And if you don't have that, then it's almost pointless. And
yeah,
if it's pointless, then why are you really doing this? A lot of people do things that they do to find comfort in other people or to find comfort in themselves and what they choose. And it becomes super, super convoluted because it might turn out to be something you don't want. And a lot of people will roll with that, and a lot of people will not know what to do with certain situations.
yeah,
So they accept whatever it is that it becomes. And if it's something that you don't really want, usually it rolls out to become a tragedy, right?
yeah,
And if not saying that it doesn't always work out, but sometimes it does work out. But I think that's very rare, and it's something that doesn't happen often. I think it's more when people. I think it's becomes more of a successful relationship or a successful like a story if both parties know exactly what the others need and want, then something that's open to interpretation because it becomes a very very almost like hard to talk about or sticky or something that's hard to unpack, hard to understand. So I think being real and being more like transparent to other people so they can read you better or you express that feeling to be read at a certain almost like how you judge somebody, you can read them better and what they want.
yeah,
It becomes a lot easier to know what they want and to know if they want more or if they want less.
yeah,
Yeah, it's just communication. If you talk about what the issues are, it's a lot better than if you don't talk about what the issues are at hand.
yeah. And that's a good point to like end this conversation. A lot of it is like you have to communicate like what you want, where you want it to be, like not even right away, but you have to constantly establish like, hey, at this point we're this, at this point we're this, and then at a point where it's not where you want to be, then end it or keep going because like you don't want to play around in this situation where like you don't know where you're going. And if you don't know where you're going, you're basically not moving forward. You're just stagnant.
But I
right?
think it's not about moving forward or regressing or improving or progressing.
What do you think it's
I
about
I
then?
think it's whatever people we've as this is just my opinion. If this, everybody doesn't agree with this, but I think it becomes our culture. Our culture becomes more like what I can get from a person instead of what I can give to a person.
So you're more getting what you want rather than what you're providing the other person.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
most people nowadays will look out for themselves first.
Yeah.
So that, in my opinion, that affects the realms of relationships, friendships, and also maybe even business partnerships. Right?
Right.
Sometimes you will always look out for you because that's how society has driven it. That's how society has made you to be. To if this is not beneficial to me in any way,
Yeah.
I will not put effort in it. Even the words of friends with benefits comes with benefits, even though friends comes first. And a lot of people don't know how to be a friend and only look out for themselves.
Yeah. Like, yeah, a lot of people feel. I think a lot of people are selfish that way, but then people forget, like, in order to grow, sometimes you gotta have someone to water your fucking plant, right? You want someone to give you light. You want someone to pamper or whatever, and vice versa. You want someone to provide food or whatever. You want it's a working
Yeah, somebody
relationship.
to take care.
Yeah, you can't grow without something else. You need other things to grow. You need something other
Like an outside factor.
an outside factor to help you along. Not everyone's doing this alone, and that goes with everything. Business, relationship, friendship, family. You need to work with other people to move along this journey of where you want to go. And if you're not doing it, and if you're doing it selfishly or doing it alone, it's not the truth because you need to define
You know
or
what it
acknowledge
is.
how people helped you along the way. No one gets to whatever point without
Alone, like
something
it goes
else,
back to the
right?
mentality that no man is an island, right?
Right.
And that we all need people to progress or to evolve. Um, Pretty much an outside force to force us to think differently, and I think that that is a good thing, right? Needing
Yeah.
someone, or I don't want to say. Let's not say needing. Let's say the requirement of an outside perspective is
Right.
important for growth,
Yeah.
and that right there is one of the hardest things to almost like accept because as people and as independent like for entities, right? We want to be independent. We want to think that we know everything and that we can get there by ourselves, but the reality is it's not. As people want to progress and want to grow, the idea of something different has to occur.
Yeah.
Because if we always
Stay in your
just
situation.
stay safe and nothing, your ideals is not challenged,
Yeah.
you will stay the same. And that's true between
Yeah, you don't
any
want to be in your own
generation.
mindset. You want other like opinions or thoughts to challenge what you understand and what you know
And what
about
you already
things.
know. Because
Yeah.
then if you only know the path to your ideals, you'll get to the same exact destination as you would by yourself, right?
You're by
Because
yourself.
no new ideas will be presented, and you'll think exactly the same as what you thought before we started a talk or whatever.
Yeah.
Without an outside perspective, will realize the same thing what we already know.
Yeah.
So that outside perspective will create a different scenario and will force us to make different decisions, or I arrive to a conclusion that's different from something that's projected to what we would have thought if we were just considering our own ideals and our own path
Yeah,
to
you basically
what's
want to
true.
challenge discourse on everything you understand and know because
Yeah, because that's how you grow,
that's how
and
you
that's
grow. That's how
true.
you see
That's
the world
that's
how it
true with
is.
learning. That's true
Yeah,
with anything that you kind of put effort to.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of a good chance to move on. I guess we had a. I asked a bunch of people on social media for fan questions and DMs about relationship topics. So a fan asked, "What is the biggest pet peeve in a relationship?" For me, a pet peeve is basically I don't know, not that pet peeve is. I mean, this sounds so stupid, but dressing worse than me because for me, like I'm high on like dressing up and fashion and wearing a lot of appropriate
Current, right?
and nice
Current.
clothes. So like if you kind of dress down for me as a guy, it's like not cool. It's not attractive, and like I like for I'm around people that dress athletic or down in a way, and like that's cool for people to go to the gym or like at school wearing sweats and gym clothes is cool, but I mean, you kind of want to show out too. Right? You want to see like, hey, I want to market myself as like I dress well, I carry myself well, and like dressing down like that is like you don't really give a shit about whatever you're doing,
Mm.
which is kind of respectable. But like if you dress down, like in comparative to
But
me, it's not what I'm trying to like
go for it,
go for.
whatever.
So how about you, Jericho? What your pet peeves, or what do you think about what I just
I
said?
think that a huge pet peeve of me is people. I'm the type of person to define love as the ultimate thing.
You're right.
The ultimate thing you can share. The ultimate thing you can offer somebody. To me, love is the pinnacle of caring.
Right.
So whether you talk about how you said how you don't like when people dress down and you dress better than them and stuff like that, the only thing that can counter that is love.
Right.
If you have love for certain people, you will not care what they dress, you will not care how they look or
Right.
whatever. Because at the end of all days, when you guys take off the nice clothes, and then you dress down or whatever, in your opinion, I think love fixes that.
Right.
And my pet peeve is when people drop the word love and don't really mean it. And honestly, I don't think that's their fault. I think love has almost gotten this reputation of if I drop this, they'll know that I care.
Right.
But true love and expressing that shit is very, very tough. And it goes back to my point that it's good for Valentine's Day to exist because it gives us almost like a guideline to how to express love.
So your pet peeve is that love is
People
being
using love in vain and
dilute.
not.
It's very diluted. It's
Yeah, yeah,
very
yeah.
like, hey, this is love. That's love. But it really isn't.
I think it's misrepresented
Right.
for what it is. Love, I don't know, if for someone like me that cares about love and to show a certain type of love to be accepted as love,
Yeah.
it's for me that's just a little bit of a pet peeve because I don't want the word to be diluted. I don't want the word to be. It's a second to none to me, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just hard when people say just let it go and it'll mean nothing. It won't mean as something strong or something tangible. And if it's used that way, that's a pet peeve of mine. Because I think
Yeah.
that if you truly love people, things like what you said, dressing down or whatever you dress like, should not matter.
Right. All right. Another fan question is, what is your biggest turn on and turn offs with other genders or people? For me, turn on is smile. Turn off is bell bottom uh, yoga pads. Bell bottom yoga pads. Something that does not tight. Something that is not tight at the ankle. That's a huge turn off. Jericho Belmonte, what is your turn on and turn off?
Like I honestly do. I don't. I don't want to be like all like superficial and stuff, but bell bottoms is not good.
It is not cool. It's definitely not cool.
I don't really want to be like that kind of person that will judge somebody
But
with
it
their
is
appearance.
not cool.
I don't like that. I personally do not like bell bottoms. It's
It is not good. It makes your legs not look good at all.
Yeah,
and I know you want to show it off because you're wearing yoga pants or tights, and having that loose bottom right at your ankle.
Well,
nothing
at that point
you.
it becomes more preference, man.
It does nothing for you.
It is tough, honestly. It can boil down to money as well.
Yeah,
it can boil down
money.
to
What is that? $5?
Dog, it doesn't. It doesn't warrant somebody's personality because they wear bell bottoms. Even though I don't like that personally as well, but I don't know, man.
But what's your turn on then? What's your turn on?
For me,
I said smile. Yeah, smile, of course, for sure.
Turn on for girls?
Yeah, obviously.
To me, it's confidence, man.
Confidence?
I think if you're confident and you wear bell-bottom jeans, it should
you don't give a shit?
It should outshadow that. But at the same time, it's how you carry yourself.
Right.
And that's that wearing bell-bottoms with absence of conversation, it's just like, it's nothing.
Oh, right.
Right? If you just see someone with bell-bottoms, you're just going to judge. And if they don't get a chance to defend themselves, why they're wearing that is just, I don't know, open for interpretation.
Okay. So next fan question is, why do guys have an issue with commitment, love, and affection? Like, for me, I think those three things are depending on where the guy's at, what the guy wants in the girl, if the girl is worthy to be all that kind of things, and if he or she is not or is in other relationships with other people. So having different options limits commitment, love, and affection. Also, whatever stage they're at, whether they have, if they're really busy or having a lot of issues with family or whatever, priorities, or it's like they just don't want that from you, or they haven't established that, hey, I don't want these things with you, then I'm not going to show you commitment, love, and affection. I just want to, like, whatever I want to do with you, whatever that's fucking or whatever. So I feel that's where guys are at. They either have more options or they're at a situation where they don't want that from you, or you're not worthy of all those things to give or establish with. So what do you think, Jericho, about that?
I think it's important to unpack that baggage, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody comes with something.
Right.
Whether that's a kid or if that's unfinished relationship or unfulfilled past relationships, it's tough, right? Baggage is baggage. You have to talk about it. You have to unpack it. You have to figure out a solution for the baggage. And yeah, at the end of the day, I think if you don't tackle the issues whatever you start or whatever your pet peeve is, whatever, if you agree or not, it has to be unpacked. Yeah, it has to be talked about. It has to be solidified. Whatever your choices are, pro or con to the relationship, has to be talked about. Like, you have to have a conversation about that. Otherwise, you're blind. You're coming into something with no direction,
Right.
and you'll just be lost.
So that just like, hey, that's the reason why guys don't
Yeah, you
establish
can't
those kinds of
really
issues.
blame anybody for what they've gone through in life. That's
Right.
what makes us specialized humans. Because we don't go through shit the same way, even
Right.
if we're in the same situation, we're gonna handle it differently.
So
Because-
basically, not every guy or most guys aren't pieces of shit that just treat you like way. They have other
yeah,
things.
it's because of what they've gone through.
They have other things
or-
going on or have gone through that stops them from doing those kind of issues. And
Yeah, so it's not about person A being scared of commitment,
or it could not be
because-
that, but in some cases it could be.
Yeah, but like I said, like, it's all different and it's
Right.
all unique to the person's experiences.
Right.
And I think you can't judge
And like for me, like
universally. You can't judge universally.
yeah, like if you don't get that, you don't get affection, love, or commitment, it's not.
I don't think it's about getting it.
I don't think it's not enough for that person to go over that hump to show you that things,
Yeah, because sometimes
which isn't that girl or guy's fault. It's more like what he or she is willing to do
let
that
go
things for
or
you.
experience or even let in.
Yeah, because it's kind of hard for people to be like, hey, I'm committing to you 100%. I'll show you all this and that. And
for something that won't stick.
or that will stick because some people are willing to stop or go over all those issues
Yeah, but
just to be
if
with you.
if the issue is commitment, and say for somebody like me, like I fall pretty hard, to be honest, if certain things are met,
Yeah.
but not everybody's like that. Not everybody will give you reasons to commit to them.
Yeah.
And even if they did, it's still so like fragile. Like, one thing will lead to another. I'll say something, they'll destroy something, the relationship or the progression to a relationship, and it will just end. And that's because of baggage or whatever it comes with the person. I just think it's important to know who you're going to start something with,
Yeah.
and know their history and know how they handle problems, because it'll arise either now or later.
Right.
So I don't think it's about a question of guys have a hard time committing. I think it's super individual, and it'll matter to a certain person.
Yeah.
And what matters to me does not mean it's something that matters to you. And at the end of the day, it's all about talking about your issues.
Yeah,
and-
so if you dive into why that is, then you'll get the answer. It's not just like, it's not that guys don't want to be committed, love, or show
it's
love,
not.
or
It's
show
not
affection.
like a gray
It's-
area where
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not committed because I don't like you.
It's more like-
no, it's more than that.
It's more the issues surrounding that or the history that stops
Yeah,
that person.
the underlying factors of why we do things a certain
It's
way.
not always, hey, it's on you. It's on both parties. All right.
Agreed.
Okay, last question. Why do guys ghost? Ghosting means if you talk to this person for a very long time or amount of time and then you show affection or you flirt or whatever, then all of a sudden they stop talking to you, they stop responding, and then they basically stop interacting with you all in
Yeah,
general.
being phased out, right?
So for me, I've done this many times, and I think ghosting comes down to it's fun at the time to get all the like flirting or having fun, even like having these deep conversations, but when it gets too far where it's like the other person wants to be serious or in a relationship, that for me, I don't want that. I just want to like, hey, I don't establish it. To be honest, I don't establish what relationship we are. I just like, hey, we're having fun right now. But then when I want to be serious, I'll tell you that. So if I don't tell you, I'm planning to, or I do or want to be serious that way, we're just having fun. And then I'll stop talking to you when you want to go further in that kind of relationship. And that's how I feel ghosting is. And I guess I'll pass it to Jericho with his idea of ghosting.
I think people ghost because one of two things: they're not ready, or they don't want to.
Yeah.
So if you're not ready, obviously you'll do anything. Obviously as humans, man, we are the type of people to, if we don't like something, we'll leave.
Right.
Because it's the easiest way out.
Right.
If you stop talking, at some point in the relationship of the person you're trying to get with, they realize, oh, this is so dumb. I've sent them 500 text messages and they didn't reply.
Yeah.
So at that point, I have to make a decision. Is leaving as well, giving up on the relationship, which more often than not, you give up because you don't want to seem stupid or like thirsty or needy or with some, especially something that if somebody doesn't reply to your messages, it's obviously they have the time and they have the resources and they know if they just reply, it will just change everything.
Yeah.
So it's easy. Ghosting is the scapegoat of relationships. If you do not want to, no longer interested or don't want to progress the relationship any farther, you just stop.
Yeah, which is super easy because a lot of social media today is like you message over online, and when you want to stop talking to somebody, it's like that. You don't see this person.
Yeah, it's as easy as blocking somebody or not replying or turning off notifications from that person. There's a lot of ways out. It's pretty much ghosting is a way out, and it's easy. A lot of people would just opt for the ghosting instead of really talking about the issue, which is I don't blame people for ghosting. Honestly, it's the easy way out. It's not doesn't require any effort.
Yeah.
Except for the do you feel bad or whatever.
Yeah. And
at the same time, you will save yourself. You will save your sanity first, because we as individuals, I believe we're super selfish to ourselves and our own survival. And I don't think anybody should be blamed for that. I think it's unfortunate, but it happens, and it happens more often than not. So
yeah, so like if you ever get ghosted, it's like it's more on the person ghosting you than it is yourself.
Yeah, it's. I think what Carl's trying to say is that it's
that person
more often than not, it's the individual that decides to end the friendship, end the relationship. That's their own insecurities coming through. So
it's not on.
If you've been ghosted or whatever, just accept it. Yeah. You have to move on with your life. I understand that the relationship may not be as strong as you thought it was, and it's okay, and you're gonna be okay, and it's gonna take time to be okay.
Yeah.
But being ghosted or whatever, it's just a direct translation into something, an easy way out.
Yeah, it's basically an easy way out to.
Oh, the easiest way out.
The easiest way, because it's easier to go someone you don't see than you do see everything.
Because honestly, it relieves you of everything.
Yeah. It's like having fun without the responsibility of...
Yeah, there was no risk.
No risk, basically.
All reward, no risk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you don't feel responsible for some other person's feelings, then it's easy for you, right?
Yeah.
If I leave, no one gets hurt. But it just sucks that when you go with somebody, it does hurt, and it does take a lot of emotional almost tax. I would want to say, right?
Yeah.
It sucks to be ghosted, but you know what? Everybody's been guilty of doing it,
Or
being
yeah,
done to.
yeah.
It's just kind of like a part of it, you know?
It's basically another word or reason to say leading on.
Yeah, a little bit.
Leading on
Without the responsibility.
without the
And without.
responsibility.
Honestly, it's tough to get ghosted, but.
Yeah, it just happens. Like
It happens,
You're gonna
and
ghost.
more often than not, people will take the easy way out because it's easy.
Yeah,
Like, no, I mean, as humans, I think effort is something that's requires a lot of energy, a lot of attention.
yeah,
And if I just stop talking to you, maybe you'll get it.
yeah,
It doesn't mean it doesn't hurt, but I, as an individual, will take that because it's the easiest route for me to do.
yeah,
For me to take, for the path for me to walk on. Because dealing with the shit is a lot harder than just stopping conversation altogether.
yeah.
And I think it's something that we should and we shouldn't be held responsible for, you know.
Yeah.
But it happens a lot, and people. I don't want to say people should be ready for that, but you know, if it comes down to my sanity and your sanity, I will pick mine,
Right.
and that's the whole ghosting thing.
Yeah, basically a lot of it is more. A lot of people are selfish.
Yeah.
A lot of people look out for themselves, and a lot of these issues comes down to the individual and not the other person. And more people, a majority of people are looking out for themselves to find whatever they're looking for rather than that other person. But the fortunate people who do find love or relationships have that already, or will find that with some person
Somebody else
who is willing to do that for you. And these issues that we have in 2018, it's a lot of it is selfish reasons or insecurity or immaturity, to be fact. So if you ever feel like, hey, it's your fault, it's not really, because it's that other person's evaluation of what they want or what you should be, and it's not really on you to live up to whatever that is.
Yeah, but at the end of it all, it's all about expectations and whatever. I don't think expectation is something you should put on somebody, but more often than not, it does happen that way, and it sucks. But it's almost like it's life. For you not to be put on somebody else's expectations, it's almost like a fantasy for you not to think that you'd be judged in that criteria, because it's what we'll go to. It's what we're comfortable with. It's what the society has told us to do. It sucks, but honestly, it is what it is, and it happens all the time. So,
yeah. So let's just leave it at that. We might have another episode of the Guinto Bros podcast with Jericho Belmonte, relationship edition later on. But let's first, Jericho, what do you want to plug for your social medias?
I don't know. Just follow my Instagram is Team Developmental. Follow it if you want to see some yoga, if you want to see some powerlifting, Olympic weightlifting, and mobility, pretty much.
Right. And for me, my plugs are Instagram, Keeping Up with the Car, Snapchat, Karutrey, Karruetrey, Facebook, Carginto, Twitter, Carginto. If you want to follow me on Castbox, SoundCloud, and Podbean to hear the other episodes. And this episode is gintobros.podbean.com. And for this, at the end of this Valentine's Day edition, relationship edition of Guinto Bros podcast, I'm single. I'm willing. I like smiles, and if I met you before, I'm probably interested. So hit me up on my social medias, and on behalf of the Guinto Bros, Kendall Guinto, Car Guinto, and Jericho Belmonte, our regular special guests,
Hey.
we're out. Peace.
Peace.